Nvidia beat earnings expectations and raised guidance. Stock is trading up about 20 points after hours. You can see the flag here on the 5-minute and how we're setting up a flag at the time of recording this right into the conference call on the 15-minute. We will be going through the earnings. We will go through a couple other names tonight that came out and actually had very disappointing earnings, as well as the indexes, and 3 different ways to play Nvidia. Nvidia fourth quarter earnings, 88 cents, beat the 81-cent estimate. Sales came in at 6.05 billion versus the 6.01 billion. This is exactly what you want from a quarter. At the time of filming this, I have the conference call on in the background. You'll notice that the number was actually going to change as I'm talking. And they just raised guidance. So you're looking at a raise of 6.5 billion. Estimate was 6.35. On the 15-minute chart, we're establishing the next 15-minute bar. So we really just want to watch how we're going to act in here. You're setting up here to actually flip yet once again. So right now, if you're watching this later, just watch that 226.52. First quick tip I'm going to give you, after the conference call, you're going to get a reaction after it closes. Once that closes, you're going to want to really watch the peak of this level and how you act at the peak of this level. If you are over the peak of this level, which is your initial burst, most likely you grind into 8 p.m., and then you will start seeing selling probably 7 o'clock in the morning. It's the same strategy we implemented yesterday in the Alpha Chasers community on PANW. In other words, you're buying that last minute bar at 8 p.m. and then you're just coming in and watching that at 7. Some people have access to the 4 a.m. Some people do not. So I just say the 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. trade. You can see that you're not capturing the majority of the move, but you really have the least amount of risk. You just have overnight risk. That is a great way to participate, especially if you are a smaller account and you're worried about the overnight hold or the PDT rule. It's a really quick way. You know what? Comment below if you'd be interested in seeing me do a video on the PDT rule, if that's something that would be of interest to you. I'm seriously thinking of doing one and ways to not circumvent it, but ways to trade around it, I should say. So you're going to want to watch this level very, very closely. This level marked is 225.50. This is your first 5-minute bar. And then you can see the next 5. And then you can see here, which got you to 225.55, which is going to be the high of the 15-minute bar. Remember, each candlestick is made up of multiple other candlesticks. NVDL is a 1.5 times bull fund, so it's a levered way of playing it. This is where you're at overnight. You're already at that 35 range from 31 to 35. So this is already pressing along rather nicely. You'd like to see if this kind of can break out tomorrow. Maybe you'll get a little more action if you can see that. Maybe get through that 38. It's a new issue, but this is another way that you could play it. NVDS is a bear fund. If you're comfortable shorting, this is setting up to absolutely implode. You can see how you just deteriorated on the short the whole way down. The stock went up. But even look what happened when the stock was rallying. This hardly moved. It really hardly eradicated anything, didn't it? So what you're going to see is a possible retest of that $21 level. If you break that, you might start seeing a little more pressure on there, start seeing outflows out of this ETF. Another way to play it this evening or tomorrow is SOXL. This is a bull ETF. This is my cup. This is my handle. And you can see how we broke below it. You have 3 days when you break a pattern to pop over it. It looks like we might have a shot at it. Usually 3 to 5 days, you want that pattern to correct itself. If not, it starts becoming more of a resistance point, which is not really what I want. You can see we held the 55-day moving average, and you can see the level that I'm currently watching, which is that 1446, and we are above it. Tesla is another way to play it. Most people will say, well, how is Tesla affected? It is one of the highest beta names that's out there on the NASDAQ. What's really impressive about Tesla today is we got right to the breakout bar, meaning that all-time close right here after these 3 dojis down. We got right to that breakout bar, and what did we do? We retested the opening price, found buyers, and then we flipped, forming a hammer right up top here. Now we're above that hammer. So we're looking at our first higher high tomorrow. So tomorrow, barring GDP, reminder, GDP 830, so you can see a massive change in what's happening between tonight and tomorrow morning on GDP. You're looking at this level, 201.99, get up and over, and you could see this push. And I would not be surprised, barring anything with GDP, that in the next couple of days, we're back up challenging that level. Going to have to see how it plays out tomorrow, but this is a really good way to play it. A lot of people are not really paying attention to this, but high beta names are going to move. You could go out there actually and look at the Nasdaq and get a sense of what's going to happen to the Nasdaq tomorrow based upon just Nvidia. And this whole move, we're up about 60 basis points on the Nasdaq, is all Nvidia. So barring them saying something, you could use QQQ or TQQQ to take advantage of this. But that's up to you. For me, I'd want more leverage, and that leverage would come in the form of Tesla. There will be a link in description to get a copy of the newsletter. The Chasing Alpha newsletter is free. Simply click the link and you will get it. There will be a report tomorrow morning that'll go out on Nvidia. So you're probably going to want to get that if you're interested in trading it tomorrow. Now, in regards to Lucid, Lucid's down here roughly 914, 882 is the 55, and you're just bouncing right around in here. Bottom line, this is the earnings. The earnings were not the issue. You actually beat because they really reined in their expenses, which is great. That's what you want in a company during these kinds of times. But you have a little bit of a decrease in revenue, about 15%. And deliveries were off by about 50%, and they cut delivery expectations for the year by 50%. Stock's down after hours. What I would watch for those that want to see this tomorrow and pay attention to it, I would sit there and watch the low of that break, right? So that was the open. It puts you right around that $9 range. Just watch that level. Now, I know we covered a lot in a short period of time, but we really need to cover the index and just understand where we are. 2.9% GDP is what we're looking for tomorrow. Right now, you have a doji sitting right on the 55-day moving average. I do not want to get below this. Our support line today, or our level that we thought we could get to, was exactly right where we are. I thought we could get to 39.80, and we did. Really wasn't a stretch, everyone. It was 40 basis points. So if we can crack this level, the 200 is at 39.40, and that's what we'd be looking for next. A lot of people are just saying, I'm looking for that 50 right here. I don't think that we're going to stop if we break 39.80. I think you're going to have to retest the 200-day at this point and see if that's going to hold or not. Now, this little spot in here is possibly going to hold us versus the 200-day test. Nasdaq, very similar. You can see right where we are with the 200-day moving average. You can see how we came all the way down and retested the breakout bar. So you have this huge breakout that happened right here. We can all see that, but let's just pop that in just to make it even clearer. So you can see that breakout, the failed breakout, the test, the inability to actually get over and stay over. And then we flipped, coming back down, and now we're testing that breakout level, and we held. Now, we need to hold that level, and as long as we're holding it, we're good, but we're going to have to watch and understand that if this breaks, we're probably going to test the 200-day, which is 289.35. If we take a quick look at the VIX, you can see this is a higher high that you have right here, and you kind of petered out today. And I would imagine that this is going to come in a little more barring GDP based upon Nvidia's earnings and their guidance. So I would keep my eye on the VIX, and we really haven't had to worry about it all year long. Now we have to start paying attention to it. I don't really want to be hitting new highs on the VIX. Talked about this in the newsletter 2 weeks ago. We talked about this 3 white soldier candlestick pattern. Now we formed a flag, broke out of the flag. This line right here denotes the 55. This is the 200. Between the connections over here, there's actually a death cross. Now, what's interesting about this is you're basing and you're breaking out. And we're still seeing tech push today. So it's going to be a really interesting day. Keep in mind, Tesla was up today. Palo Alto was up 20 points today. Nvidia closed up today. Okay, all this before earnings this evening, and the dollar is rallying. So you have to start thinking what's going to happen when the dollar starts selling off. And I think that's really an important distinction for us to understand. We're back on the 10-year right to that 4%, right where we started the year. But the S&P is up substantially higher. So we're starting to not correlate, or I should say not be as sensitive to rates or dollar moves as we previously were. Everyone have a great evening.